Hello.
Bienvenidos, caballeros y caman.
What?
I was
It's
filling in
shorting
the
out.
intro gap.
Yeah, I said I'm not going to do an intro because we did one yesterday, or I recorded one yesterday with a guest and didn't do an intro. And I'm like, I like this. Why are we doing intros? I mean,
Then I freaked out. The
hello?
awkward silence freaked me out.
It's okay. How are you this week?
Let's see. Things are good. Yeah, I'm good. This week has been great. Like, we had a cool meeting with a guy yesterday, a local guy who is honestly like the more and more I thought about it, like he is really solving the downstream effects of vibe coding, which I find to be really fascinating. It's like a closed loop system for basically fixing dirty code, for lack of a better term. And it's one of those things where I think, I mean, at the end of the day, it's super difficult to bring a product to market and find who uses it. But every once in a while, you kind of stumble across these projects that people are working on, and you consider the time in which they're doing it. And this guy is really like would be able to fix a lot of dirty vibe code with this tool. I think it is one of those things, like the concept of it is the missing piece between Copilot and production code. So that was cool. I mean, I love talking with people like that and just seeing like what is your brain? How is how is your brain thinking through these types of problems? And it's elegant, interesting. Those are
So, what do you mean by vibe coding?
So vibe coding would be so I think the term vibe code probably refers to non-developers creating applications using AI,
Mm. Just kind of like vibing their way through it.
vibing their way through it. And which is cool. I mean, like you can, I mean, we use Claude all the time to build out our features. So we use AI to code, but I mean we have like React developers who like know what they're doing, understand the dependencies, know like you know what I mean. We know our database like the back of our hand. But that's probably I think the biggest differentiator is just there's a level of like data management that you have to like hold in your head while you are creating something. Like where are their dependencies in your database? If I okay, like a project we just wrapped up this week with Promote. Here's a perfect example of it. We like finalized our permissions, and there is nothing will reveal what's going on in your database until you start to like systematically go through and say, if somebody has this permission, what can they see and do? Well, what about this thing? What if they needed to do this thing? Is that another permission, or is that a sub permission under here? And it is
This is
a
like Rob's world.
totally exactly, yes. Rob knows this. And I'm sure you could speak from firsthand experience. That is a mind that is kind of meant to do stuff like that. You
Well,
came out
he's
of the
talked
womb
about,
doing that.
yeah, kind of, yeah. I mean, he's talked about like 30,000 permissions.
What the fuck, Rob? Oh my God. 25 about killed me.
30,000 because he's in like Azure, Intune, enterprise level Microsoft stuff. And, they've got what, 20,000 employees or something? I don't know. A lot.
It is bonkers. So yeah,
It's
this
not like he can
nobody's
remember, you know, like
right, right.
the directory of these things.
But you have to, I mean, um it's a level of detailed thinking that is just not found in a lot of other I think that like, if you were like a building engineer, mechanical engineer, something like that, you're probably thinking along those lines. What are the downstream effects of these seemingly tiny things that occur here? And then you've got the creative types, you got the founder types. Are like, well, what if we put a button right here? And then it's like, that button could have like 1,000 potential downstream effects that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so we talked about this months and months and months ago, like maybe podcast number one, when we were talking about like bad actors in the space or how to know if somebody's full of shit who comes to you talking about AI or anything tech related, right? Like technology is advancing rapidly. There's more entrepreneurs than ever, I think. When we started ProMode, someone told me that I think is a credible source that there's 1,000 LLCs being registered every day in the US that are AI related. So the space is very noisy. And so when I met the guy that you met yesterday, met him at a networking event, and um, it's you meet so many people who make wild claims like I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and you're like, and I'm not a developer, I can't like I don't have like a list of questions that I could ask to find out if this guy's full of shit or not, right? But and this might be helpful to somebody, I don't know. Like how do you know if you're not a super technical person, how do you know if the person you're talking to is full of shit or not? And to me, it's very much intuition. Like I watch body language and um I think for me, the more humble they seem, and the more negative things they say about what they're doing, like, "Yeah, I did this and I ruined it." Like, that to me says you're probably a genius, right? Because 'Cause you're looking at what you're doing through a hypercritical lens, which means you know what you're doing. So it's the ones who come to you talking about their solution or, what they're working on as if it's this magical thing with no flaws or anything. Those are the ones I'm like, "Hmm."
yeah,
Interesting. Or they're like, "Oh, we just got into this 6 months ago. Before then, I had no knowledge of AI, and now I'm an AI wizard." And it's like, "Well, no,
there's
probably not."
that's funny you say that. My tell is always, I mean, this guy is like, I mean, was really barely able to keep up with anything that he's talking about. I mean, this is just way beyond anything that I've ever touched. Um, so yeah, so like I was kind of in the same boat. Like, this seems, but for me, always the tell is like it is like this excited hesitation to share with you what's going on. But it's like, probably shouldn't be telling you this, but I have to tell you this. I
Yeah.
have to tell you, like, it does this thing, and then it does this thing, and then I thought it'd do that, and then and it they're like catching themselves, probably telling you proprietary information.
Yeah. It's like mad scientist kinda, yeah.
And in general, like, it's like, okay, there's the people that would know what to do with this proprietary information are probably doing their own shit. And this would be, and to try to copy whatever the fuck you're doing is going to take them away from their own shit. So, you know what I mean? It's like, but you see that thing happening. They're like, well, all the suits tell me I should not be telling you these things, but I am like so excited about it. It is so elegant. Here is how the solution works. It's so simple. That to me is always the tell. I'm like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you're one of the good ones.
I worry about guys like that because they don't always know how to sell themselves, and they often end up, doing way too much for way too little. And then people who have an axe to grind will tell them, "Hey, don't tell anybody you're doing this." Well, it's like, why are they saying that? Are they saying that so that they can keep him where he's at price wise, you know, keep access to him, who knows? But I don't know, maybe a little protective over I've worked with some very, very smart nerds in my day, and I've seen some of them get taken advantage of, but they need people like me, like with my skill set of, making it make sense to other people and selling it at the price it deserves. I'm not saying he needs me in particular, but he's too smart to be thinking of the things I'm thinking of, and people like
Like,
me would be thinking of, which is like, how do
yeah,
we connect this and make money from it?
100%. Yeah. And generally speaking, I think that if you have ever just poured yourself fully into something, like that's a not a pleasant like so few people have ever taken themselves to the brink on something. Like really, really to the brink. What am I willing to put on the line for my ideas? How far am I willing to go? And that's kind of an experience where if you've done it, you do develop a keen understanding of your skill set and your superpowers. And so you're oftentimes not very defensive about bringing those people in. So I think that probably gets in the way of like matching superpowers with other people on the team. Generally, defensiveness gets in the way. And I think that defensiveness is simply born from never really fully going for something because when
Hmm.
you're like everything, I will put everything on the line for this thing. You sort of lose all defensiveness at that point because
Yeah.
you're staring in the mirror. So that's
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
thinking of two things. I'm thinking of our conversations about jujitsu and how they parallel, right? You and the Dunning-Kruger effect. So it's like, where are you in that kind of journey of learning? Are you at the top of, what do you call it, Mount Stupid?
Yeah,
Mount
yes.
Dumbass? Mount Dumbass. Where you think you're an expert because you learned a handful of things, maybe got lucky once or twice in convincing someone else that you knew what you were doing, and then the slide down occurs if you keep learning, right? If you keep progressing and learn how little you know, which is what the kind of journey of life is all about.
100%. 100% here.
Yeah.
Well,
So are you pulling it up?
yeah, yeah, we have to do this. This is like a quarterly,
Quarterly.
this is our quarterly PSA to everybody. The Dunning-Kruger effect.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it is early stage knowledge acquisition. You have a false sense, the false peak of ignorance. You know just enough to think you know something. And really, this is kind of where most people stop well, actually, most people stop on the way down to actually learning what's going on, right? So you use example of jujitsu, like the peak up here is like 2 years in. I mean, it's like which is an insane amount of time. Like I would just, I would urge everybody listening to just be a little bit honest with themselves and think about like, have I done the same weekly activities multiple times a week, every week, uninterrupted for 2 years? That's a lot. A lot of people can't say that really about anything.
Mm.
And so to like go through that and then realize you are on this downward slope, you suck, you're a piece of shit, you end up here. But it's only kind of when you get down to the very bottom, like if you're at the top of this peak, you actually don't see what it means to be an expert at something. And so you actually have to be at this bottom and feel like you failed and feel like you can't find product market fit. You can't like, and this founder fatigue right down here.
Yeah.
And it's just realizing that the persistence and time and consistency is the path to expertise.
Yeah, what comes to mind when I see that peak is participation trophies.
Yes, exactly.
Like, if you've been around kids, I would say kids under the age of about 13, maybe even 14. And just thinking of like when I've seen it in my kids, if they do something one time, they're like, "Oh, I know how to do this now." Like, we took one of the kids to the driving range, first time swinging a club, and, we weren't really trying to teach her anything because we're just, it's just have fun. That's the first step, right? Have fun being here, holding this golf club, trying to hit this ball. And, has a couple lucky swings where she actually hits it, and then I think I'm actually pretty good at golf.
I may as well just get a scholarship right now.
Yeah, like, okay, check. I know golf now. But I've seen kids do that in many different things. Like, I taught my youngest the basics of chess. Like, this piece does this, this does this. And so we've been playing with her a little bit, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm totally, like, really good at chess." And of course, as soon as they do that, I'm like, "Let mama show you something." And then I just like cream her, like, because you have to. You have to, like, okay, it is fun. You are learning. You are not yet good. I'm not going to let you think you're a chess master because you know what this piece does. I love that you're having fun, but I'm not going to ruin you.
So true. It's so true. Like, I mean, we laugh. I mean, but also forget these are children. You know what I mean? And if you're an adult, like knowing the rules of the game is different from mastery. And hopefully adults can move beyond that and come to the realization that knowing the rules does not equal mastery. Like
Right.
I have this pet. So like back to the jujitsu analogy, there's always a thing to where you have somebody who's been doing it longer than you, and it's kind of such a scary thing at first. And there's a few people that kind of become almost mentors in a way, very unofficial mentors, like mentors that beat you up every day. And I had one guy, Ben, who that was the case. He could sense I was trying so hard to be like, I'm going to win. I'm going to beat you one of these days. And I'll never forget, he pulled me aside after this like sparring session. He's like, listen, there will never be a day that you beat me. Like, unless I stop, if I stop for like 4 years and you continue going, then maybe one day you might beat me. He's like, just put it in your head that this will never happen. You will never win. Like, I will continue to train, and you started 4 years before me. These two cars will never meet. Like, we started driving across the country 5 days before you, and we both have a governor at 70 miles per hour. It just
Uh-huh.
will never happen.
I'm
So
just
you need to,
imagining your face.
I
What?
was like, yeah, but it was the clearest thing. I was like, of course, this is right. And this is I have to now find a different, like, this now means something different. I need to find something different in these sparring sessions that we have to where it still remains meaningful, but just knowing it will never happen. And so like now so now I am like Ben for other guys who just recently started. And I try
But
to
is
very
that
tight.
true though? Like you could
It is.
never, like you couldn't upskill in an area that he's struggled with, or like at some point, don't you kind of, and I'm not a jujitsu person, but don't you kind of like know basically what there is to know, and so you can be quicker on the move than him in a certain, on a bad day or something?
Okay, like bad day if Ben had like a severe flu that he's getting over and maybe gets a hip replacement, and I double my time on the mat training, then maybe one day I might just accidentally, but the thing is it would be a fluke. And Ben and I would both know it was a circumstantial fluke, and that 99.99 times out of 100 Ben will get the best of me. And this is like the real cool. part of this experience of participating in it is that it does force you to learn an insane level of equanimity of like this thing that I think will happen will never happen, but am I going to keep doing this otherwise? Is there a meaning beyond this winning? You know what I mean? But no, it it's it is, and everybody who trains knows, no, like to them, the thing that I'm saying is the most, uh, duh, of course. But then when you kind of talk to people about it, you're like, it is so, it's like so jarring. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that is just because of the nature of it, because there's like a fighting nature to it, and there's no extraneous circumstances. So like if you're playing tennis, for example, like there can be, you've got these additional variables. You've got rackets and you've got balls, you've got nets, you've got courts, you've got things like that. And that because of those extraneous variables, the skill set of the people participating kind of they level out fairly quickly. And so then you could have somebody who has been playing tennis for 10 years and then have somebody start playing tennis and play it for 2 years, and then those variables equalize quite a bit, but when it is just like two bodies and two brains fighting, it is just, I mean, it's one of those things to where you have seen the thing, you've either done the thing that you're doing 10,000 times more than the other guy, or you have seen the thing that the other guy is doing 10,000 times more than he's ever done it. So there's a, it's, yeah, it's like almost turns into this weird subconscious mind reading that just you can't, it's like, this is the nature of it. Like,
Yeah, this might be a good time to ask this question. So, in most, disciplines of study, there's like prerequisites, right? There's foundational knowledge that you have to have in order to understand what's coming next, right? The 101, etc. of the coursework. What do you think are the prerequisites for understanding AI or starting something like pro mode?
yes, I was hoping
What's a
that was a
good
question.
like foundational knowledge layer?
Okay, great question. Okay, so foundational knowledge for, let's simplify it and then we'll go like super simple and then let's expand from there. So a prerequisite, let's just use Chat GPT as our example. This is kind of the most common reference point for people who are using AI. So I would say that a prerequisite knowledge for Chat GPT is, it's not a search engine. I think that is like number one, is just understanding this is not a thing that should be, it's not a Google replacement. Is number one. Like, yes, it can search the web, but just comparatively to how sophisticated Google can crawl the web, it's like, I mean, it really doesn't even come close. It's like a horse and buggy for acquiring answers to things that are found on the internet. So that's prerequisite number one, is to that it is not an answer. It's not a factual answer generator, is kind of a thing that you should understand as a prereq. And then the second piece is, I think it is so flexible. It's so flexible. It's so malleable, like beyond, I have a hard time not overstating this. It is so much more flexible than you could ever imagine. Whatever prompt engineering that you're considering in your head right now, as I'm telling you that this tool is flexible, I am saying multiply that times 100, and that is how flexible this is. And so I would say that as a just baseline approach to using AI is probably something that people should like feel in their bones, before using a tool. They should really consider those two things. This is not a source of factual information. And this thing is a million times more flexible than you could ever imagine.
Uh-huh.
So then we could like, we can increase the complexity of those answers, but I would say those are probably the two baseline
Yeah.
AI 101.
Okay.
That's how I would teach AI 101 course, would just be exploring all of the vectors of flexibility and just explaining how this is this is like not this is computation that's going on. This is not pulling answers from a source of data of databases where we just go in and we select, here is this study, here's this factual answer for you. It's an approximation of that, but it is not that. That is not what's going on.
Oh, but rewind it even more than that. If those are the sort of building blocks of like, okay, understand this before we move forward. But even before understanding those things, what are some indicators? Let's say you were going to assess a bunch of young people. Let's say they're college freshmen, and we were on campus looking for some people to work for us. Or maybe it's just a bunch of people who want to start an AI company and you're going in as sort of um, a mentor. What are you looking for in terms of uh, like natural bend, like what they're naturally have a knack for? What are some indicators if you're just talking to someone, you might be really good at this?
Yes. Great question. I would want to whatever AI chat that they use just as their like open in a tab companion, I would be more I would look for signs of schizophrenia in their chats. I would go through one by one and I would like, if I opened up, one of your saved chats in the sidebar, if I opened up one of those and then I opened up another one and it looks like a schizophrenic GPT, I would be like, you get it. You get what's going on.
Do you mean, I'm assuming you don't actually mean schizophrenia. Like they're able to um have a wide range of uses and like
Yeah,
prompt structure. They have a very large place in their brain for stuff to use this tool for.
exactly.
And
Yes,
it's
yes.
like all over the place.
They
Yeah.
understand the flexible nature of it. It would tell me that they have identified a problem. It would tell me that they've identified something in their workflow that is occurring elsewhere, just over the course of their, let's use an example of it. Let's say that you're just
Just punch myself in the face.
so like
Yeah.
if you are, let's say that you're just a freshman history major at some state school, right? Just something really basic, but you're super into AI. Like I would say, this actually is going to work. So standard logic would you lead you to believe that if you were a history major and you were using ChatGPT to augment some of your work, I think like the entry level beginner version of using ChatGPT for that would be like, okay, you would have a chat for the American Civil War. You would have a chat for Southeast Asian history. You would have a chat for like the Byzantine Empire, whatever, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
if I found somebody who was like interested in AI and I was looking at their chat GPT, I would probably be looking for chat windows that are like a rolling library of citations from all of the courses, Byzantine Empire, American Civil War, but this is just a citation aggregator that is constantly appended to and filtered and organized. I'd probably then be looking for another chat where there's like active citations being worked on and they're all they're like well structured and in tables, and so I would be looking for somebody who is like not necessarily using GPT for assisting them with research or compiling things. I would be looking for somebody who's using GPT for like bibliography management, things like that. Does that make sense?
I think so, and it's connecting a lot to, like, signs of intelligence, really. Like, I was just looking at here's an article with 7 signs of intelligence, and I've heard of some of these, and I think, like, most of them apply directly to what you're talking about. Like, you've surpassed functional fixedness. That's a huge one. You remember functional fixedness from
So,
school days? Functional fixedness is, let's see, the psychological bias that restricts you to use a thing only in the way it's meant to be. For instance, I'd use a water bottle only to drink water. So,
mhm,
like, if you, I think for some reason I'm remembering this image of like a shoe hitting a nail. So, like, in a pinch, you don't have a hammer, here's a shoe. Could that become a hammer? That's overcoming functional fixedness, which I think is so necessary when using AI to, because if you have functional fixedness, you'll never see the flexibility that you're describing in the tool, that schizophrenic chat
yeah,
flow. You think in unexpected ways. So, asking good questions and you don't give unsolicited advice. Uh, well, that's one. You seek unconventional methods. So it's like curiosity, asking good questions.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting. Hold on, I might close this door real quick. So, last time Maggie and I were having a conversation, so I was building Maggie some like mid-journey profiles for image generation. And she was like, I'm telling you, and this is not like, I don't want to sound like I hate sounding like braggadocious. So I just like, I'm going to preface this by saying some of these things just feel so self-evident to me. But like, like we created these mid-journey profiles and like the images coming out of it, I'm like, these are so good. I mean, like they are really, really good with such minimal effort put into them. You know what I mean? But just purely approaching the AI from a position of flexibility is what is was causing these like really cool, very usable, like interesting stock images to come out of it. I mean, that's all that it was. She was, but anyway, I'm trying to think of like where I was going with this. But like, so I remember like the day that Midjourney came out, you could access the API through a Discord server. And it was
Hmm.
it was like very difficult to use. You had to know all of these like short codes to write in there. You had to, if you wanted to make these like numerical style adjustments, you had to put in a reference image. It would spit back out a number between 0 and 1. It'd be a long string of, you know, a million decimal places, and you then paste that into the Discord. But like it really, but I had been like following the development of Midjourney since it was a research project from doctoral candidates. And so I'm like, oh, this like the general concept of this all makes sense. It is just like pixel mapping, and you're turning these dials on different parameters inside of there. But like that to me is, but like I never really look at other image generation tools. I'm like, this is the foundational model on which pretty much everything else is built, and everything else is just sort of an approximation of this hyper flexible image generation model. Yeah, so I think that would just, again, it just yields more useful results, and it's nothing magical that's going on. I guess that's like my long ramble way of saying that just understanding how the tool works in just a really fundamental way allows you to really get the thing out of it that you want without needing to chase down a million different shiny objects to get there.
Hmm. Nice. Cool. Well, I'm kind of blissed out today, which is a refreshing change of pace.
Do say, tell me more.
Well, I've been at the bottom of Mount Dumbass in the Dunning-Kruger graphic for the last few weeks. It's this weird, and my guess is if you're a founder, if you've been part of a software journey in particular, um, you can, you can empathize with this, but it's this weird duality in emotion all the time. Like, I believe in this so much, it's amazing. This is going to be huge. Everybody's going to love this. And then why the hell are people not understanding this and buying it? And this is the most obvious solution. And I'm frustrated. I'm beating my head against the wall with like this Fabergé egg that we've made. It's just frustrating, full of ups and downs every day. But this week I had just quite the injection of hope and encouragement yesterday, talking to our first licensing client on a podcast, interviewed her. That will be coming out soon. And she was like, I am better because of Pro Mode. I can do what I do better. And I know the behind the scenes, depth to that is huge, like game changer for her business. And she gets it on such a deep level. She's like, I will be able to provide better service to my clients, operate more profitably, live in my zone of genius, creativity and strategy and client, relationship, as opposed to workflow nonsense and operational drag and paying contractors and freelancers and employees so much of my revenue. She's taking control of her business in a way that she's always dreamed of, that literally did not exist until Promode. And hearing that, you know, that someone is finally experiencing what we've been so excited about. And not just to make a moderate improvement here or there, not just to log in every now and then, but to really build her business on this platform to do better work and to be more profitable and all those amazing things. To know that we did that is huge. And I know we can do it again and again and again. And the system has proven itself. Um, the difference we're making is huge for the people involved, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah, it's awesome.
It really, from the founder perspective, that just really highlights you don't, what am I trying to say? Like, you don't need that many people to get it. Or maybe said another way, if somebody doesn't get it, no amount of convincing in the world is going to do it. I mean, no amount of like, if you just really think about it, who are the people selling something that are actually like changing mind, right? And these people are influencers. It's like Tony Robbins, it's Alex Hormozy, it's Jocko, it's whoever the fuck these people are, right? It is, I mean, these are the people who are their business is just to change your mind about something, and then they have sponsors that bring something on to sell people whose minds you have changed, right?
Hmm.
So when you're building a business, you have a thing, and this thing solves a lot of sets of problems. You never know what is the problem set that is the most visceral for which group. This is the thing you're trying to figure out. But the temptation early on as a founder is like, well, I'm going to change everybody's mind and convince them that they need this product because I have done such a good job of mind changing. And it's like, no, it
Um,
actually works in the opposite direction. You like have to put a flag in the ground. These are the features that we solve. And if you are like interested in having these problems solved, this is the place for you. And that moment is very scary for a founder, just to say, this is the flag in the ground. Where's my tribe?
yeah.
Like that's it. Let them
And
find you.
that's so different from the world of services. So, I mean, we're in this service as software space, right? Our product does services for for the end
Mhm,
user, right? It does the strategy and the generating of content and the distribution of content. It is a headcount replacement engine. It's this instead of a team of workers, but it's like, yeah, when you're going to market, it's more of a product go to market strategy versus a services. Because if you're in an agency, if you're doing services, quite often you're molding and bending your service set around your customer. Like,
mhm.
oh, well, we've never done that before, but you say you want it, so and you have money to pay us, so we'll do it. And there's a place for that. Like there's a place for custom work. We would say that's in the land of like custom development, like high level, um, app development, stuff like that. That's very one off. But when it comes to, you know, like you've pointed out, when you analyze with AI our clients' existing marketing, it's all, it, it can be algorithmically defined. It's not as unique as people think it is. There is a formula to it, and there's a process that can be put in place that then the end user can sprinkle their creativity into. I don't know. It's a different mindset of we sell this thing and it does this. If you need that, this is where you go, but we're not going to, add a million features that we've never tested to a client just because they say they think it would be cool. That's
And
a
that's like
different world.
and it's a weird choice we have to make. You know what I mean? Like we have to make the choice. Like, is our messaging that pro mode is going to grow your brand and grow your business? Okay. That could be our messaging. We could make that choice. But then what other voices are out there saying that same thing? Right. And like, how defensible is that position on our part? Right? So now if you've got every agency, every fractional in the world who is competing against you for that message, well, one thing that they can do that we can't is that they can bend their services to that person. So then they're actually just selling the story of growing your brand. And then behind the scenes, they are bending everything in order to do that. If as a technology startup, we did that. There's an element of this in the early stages of product market fit. You are kind of bending over backwards at every whim, looking for these really like elegant solutions to common problems. That's definitely part of it. A lot of startups get caught in that feedback loop and they are iterating and iterating and iterating and never putting their flag in the ground and saying, this is the problem we solve. And so it's like we have to ask ourselves, will we be able to compete against that same message against agencies and fractionals who will bend their services to follow through on this story? And I think that, I mean, the answer to that is like, that's a tough one. There's so many variables outside of our control that would go
Right.
into delivering on that promise.
Yeah, and if you think about that promise in particular, like guaranteed ROI and, next growth in this short period of time. And even if you have case studies to support that, if you've been in the game any period of time, you know the kind of client that attracts. And it attracts the client who will cancel you and go to the next person who has, okay, you said 7x, they're saying 10x. How you gonna beat
Hmm.
that? And it's like, well, what are we talking about here? What do you want 10x of? I don't know, growth. Okay,
Hmm.
well, so then they're basically, shopping for shiny objects, don't have a system in place today are looking for a silver bullet, and you do not want to be in that game. Like, we're not willing to be as unscrupulous as it would take to win that business, because you're talking about a churn and burn client rotation, because they're always looking for the shinier object and they're not ever really committed to a process.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, ROI is part of the conversation, but if that's your value prop, that we're a get rich quick scheme wrapped in AI, I just feel like that's not a road we want to be on. But what's been so, like, gives me goosebumps in talking to our clients, had another interview with another client this week who, similar feedback from her. It's not only that they are thrilled with it and are seeing the value, it's that they value the parts that we kind of were leaning towards. Like, we think this is the stickiest part of this thing, but we needed to hear it from them.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, there's certain things that they're not raving about, not because they aren't great, but because that's not the differentiator to them. But the things that Promote solves that are most impactful for them is like where our antenna were already pointing when it comes to product market fit. Like, we
Yes.
think we can solve this better than anything, and we're now hearing that back from clients that, we've looked everywhere, we haven't found anything that can do this whole thing all in one. Um, Hearing some of our language coming back out of their mouths, like infrastructure, AI infrastructure, workflow, process, seeing that promo does create more time for the parts that they want to do, creativity, strategy, like hearing them paint that picture is like, okay, now you can sell this to everybody you know in the form of referrals. And I know that the right people will be coming to us through you.
Hmm. And that is I mean, it is always surprising to me. On the path to product market fit, you kind of learn, you build all of these features and you learn like this is the thing that would keep you never canceling this. Okay, there is I'm actually not going to say the name of the tool because I really don't want anybody to know about it because I think it is one of our most strategic advantages as a company. Um, uh,
Gatekeeping.
I'm going to gatekeep this because thankfully none of these LinkedIn dorks have ever heard of this, and I would like to keep it that way. So we have a tool that we use, and we pay not that much money for, and it's a Y Combinator startup. The point of this company is for like the point of this company is to be like the company is like meant to have somebody who is like one of these AI consultants build custom workflows for companies. Okay. But
Mhm.
because they were a Y Combinator company, a lot of the people using them are developers. And so as a result, what they've done is you can tell that they have sort of like catered to all of these early developer users. And so it was like sort of initially intended as this very um, like non-technical person could go in and build like very sophisticated AI workflows. We stumbled across it because we were really needing a solution. We needed a way to just test like test agentic. I'm gonna maybe just I think I'm gonna start. I decided this week I'm just going to start using the word agent and just maybe stop dying on that hill because I just don't want like people need to know what I'm talking about. But anyway, we're like testing these workflows is a pain in the ass. Is just it is so if you've got everything just running through code, through APIs, the debugging process, where in the step did this thing break down? Where is it not perfect? Where can it be just very quickly iterated on, tweaked, tested, see the output? That iteration process is very cumbersome. And so we found this tool as a way to build all of these things and the speed of iteration is absolutely incredible. So much so that like if this company if they knew that if they knew that I would pay them $5,000 a month for this, I think that they would if they completely rebranded, stripped down their feature set by 80%, quit trying to cater to every dumb LinkedIn AI consultant out there to build these stupid fucking chatbots for these dorky companies. And they just said, hey, we are the agentic sandbox for AI companies. It has
Mm.
all of the developer tools that you need built in. It has got just clean, white label, open source APIs, anything that you would want to plug in, this thing does it. And I think that if more AI startups could iterate in that way, they could deploy so much more robust features so much more quickly. And so this
Mm.
is an example of somebody like the company we're paying very little money to that I would be like, I mean, honestly, it would be like $5,000 a month where I'd be like, okay, maybe it doesn't take me that long to go through and read all of these SDK docs to debug. But it's like, you know what I mean? That's a perfect example that that company could strip away 80% of the shit that they do. And if they
Mm.
became the sandbox testing zone for other AI startups, that
Hmm.
would be their product market fit in my mind. But that's just, I'm one user. I would imagine that if other people building agentic workflows got in here and started playing around with it and using that as their testing grounds, would probably agree with me.
Interesting. But and it's you can white label it.
What's that?
You can white label it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a developer platform.
Mm.
Yeah. It's
I was thinking, like, could you stand up a sandbox like front end and white label it and just
to do anything.
create your own AI sandbox that you're schlepping to startups?
I mean, that really is, yeah, what it is. That is exactly what this tool does. But it was just built for people who are building a chat bot for like Bob's Tire Shop. That's
Mhm.
who it was built for. But like it's a small market, and that's a
Yeah.
market that they love shiny objects. They've got for them that subscription is one of 30 just like half-baked options that they use to get their consulting done.
Yeah. I had a question for you, and then we should probably wrap up because we have a meeting to go to. I've had two folks this week tell me about their inbound AI sales bots
Mhm.
that they are either building or testing or selling or doing in some capacity. What do you think of AI call bots? And these are all inbound.
And that means customers calling the company
Yeah,
and
customers calling in, or I think you could count, a form submission and then a call as an inbound,
Mhm.
the response to inbound. And these call bots are aiming to qualify or disqualify the lead before throwing to a human. Have you had experiences with the call
not
bots?
I'm not. I don't know. On one hand, I think it's an elegant solution. I mean, it certainly is like using natural language processing for this problem. Like, I mean, you call Walgreens and they've got like voice recognition on that, but it is such a crude form of voice recognition. Or even like
Yeah.
on my Jeep, I've got like the U Connect on my Jeep, and there's like, do you want to play, pause, make a call? And I'm like, make a call, make a call.
Yeah.
Like it's certainly an improvement upon that experience. So if that were the alternative, I would say that using AI and natural language processing to solve that problem is a 10x improvement in the end user experience of that whole
Yeah, that's a
voice
good point
recognition tool.
that it's not necessarily replacing you know, a great human conversation.
Hmm.
It's replacing, yeah, these call recording, what do they call it? Like the phone tree menu thing where you're like, "Oh my god, just connect me or hang up on me or shoot me. I don't want to do this."
It's like
anymore.
by the time you're on a call and it's like it's press 1 4, press 2, and then by the time it's like press 13 if you want to talk to,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Enter the
this is
last four
ridiculous.
digits of your whatever, and then we can't find you in our system.
Hmm. So I would say like if that's the alternative, okay, as far as what is the alternative, I think should be the question to that. If it is
Yeah.
like for Spanish, say Espanol, if or if it is you're leaving a voicemail and waiting for a call back, or press 2 to get a call back. If these are the alternatives, this is a game changer, right? And then, but if the alternative there was a person there answering the phone, then I think it's incumbent upon the business to make that decision. So if you've got humans staffing those phones, and let's say 5 out of every 100 calls, or so that'd be 1 out of every 20 calls that comes in is actually a qualified lead, then I would say, yeah, some form of lead qualification on that front end might be worthwhile. It would be, I would just hope that systems like that need a shitload of monitoring,
Yeah.
and they need a shitload of tweaking. I think oftentimes when it comes to these like lead nurturing AI, like, hey, we'll just take your list and nurture it for you, or we have these AI call bots that will just sell stuff for you and you never have to think about it. I would say if somebody is getting into that thinking that this is a tool that will not require more work up front, but long tail, this will be a great solution. That's really it. That is actually my kind of my big fear with some of these AI tools is that it's like, back to the malleability and the flexibility of AI, it is like, but what does that mean for you? It means that for the next 6 months, you're probably signing up for more work, more
Hmm.
headcount, more training, more like you're going to have to really be intentional about the amount of investment that will be required from you. And so if you're entering into using these tools as a like, well, the day after I sign up for it, this thing runs my business for me, you're kind of delusional.
Yeah, and it goes back to, the title of this podcast, Tenfold AI. The goal is to get a tenfold return from an AI decision. And in order to do that, you have to know your numbers pre-AI. So, what are your closing rates? What's your time to lead? So, when a lead comes in, how long is it taking that lead is followed up with? Uh, all of those metrics will guide your your success definition once you plug in that AI solution.
Mhm.
Are we decreasing the time to lead? Is that then increasing our closing ratios? And then a lot of these, like home services, especially if you're a roofing company, plumbing company, electrician, HVAC, painters, those types of companies, time to lead is huge. It's crucial because your customer is calling the next person on that map pack in Google while you're doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
If they
Yes.
can't get a hold of you, or if they've put a form on your website and given you their information, you can bet they're calling your competition.
Yes.
So the time is crucial, and I think the AI call bots for those pre-qualifiers are a brilliant application for that.
100%. And if you are a company that is providing these AI call solutions, it would be so easy to bolt sentiment analysis on top of it. Like you would just, it's a very, very simple machine learning layer to where you're taking a recording of all of these inbound calls, you're doing a sentiment analysis on it, and you're like, how do people feel about this version of this inbound call tool? And
Oh yeah.
you would absolutely want to know that. And then to be able to provide recommendations on, okay, how do we change this workflow? What is the like, you could map it. I mean, especially if you got a ton of inbound calls coming in, you could just map, like you're talking about, that time to lead, sentiment analysis in that time to lead. And then you could find the, like, to the second, you could learn the optimal human connection timeline. You know what I mean? And you could figure out how to frame that, You could build the scripts using machine learning. Like it doesn't take much to make those systems work, but it does take somebody who understands like the shit that you're talking about. I mean, you would just hope that if you are a founder and you have an AI call solution, that you have somebody like you who understands the importance of time to lead and all the factors that you want to analyze.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun to test some of those and get creative with, like while we wait for a representative, would you like to hear a joke? Sure. Tell me a joke. I would be so down for that. No, you don't want a joke? Not in a joking mood? How about a history fact? Would you like to know something that happened on this day in history? Like, just kinda warm up the lead a little, entertain them. They know it's AI, but it's like, "Okay, now I'm in a game, sort of, and this is kinda weird and kinda fun." I think that would be fun. Mhm. That's cool. Well, I don't know if we talked about anything, like, that we planned to today,
No,
but
it was perfect. It was
it was
perfect.
fine. It was fine. This has been the Tenfold AI podcast. I'm Heather. This is Matt. As always, this podcast is sponsored by Promode.ai, which we've talked about a lot today, but we're excited. Check us out if you're interested, and we'll see you next time.